Okay, when it comes to tech, one component gets a lot of eyeballs, quite literally, is social media, how people are spending their time these days. And that's one of the considerations for our next guest's hot picks. Josey is a U.S. internet analyst with Citi and has kindly joined us on this Monday. Ron, it's great to have you with us. First of all, let's talk a little bit about when it comes to the kinds of companies that are getting a nod of approval from you. What goes into that recipe?
Well, there's a lot of different things. First of all, thanks for having me on, but there's a lot of different variables that go into it. But first and foremost, we start with product. Product then leads to users, and we really gravitate to those platforms that have not only growing user base, but growing engagement base. And that engagement is the most important part. So people doing more on the platform. And then ultimately, once you have users doing more and more, then revenue follows. And you know, post revenue, you get into profitability. But first and foremost, it starts with products first.
Okay, well, let's go through some of the names that you've highlighted today. Starting with Pinterest. PINS is the symbol there.
Sure.
And maybe doesn't get as much attention in the broader arena against some of the other social media platforms, but there's a lot that's been working well for Pinterest. Walk us through what you see.
Yeah, I mean, look, from a monthly active user perspective, which is what they report every single quarter, they talk about their monthly active users on a 30-day look back. It's been growing in the low double digits here consistently for some time. And we have not heard over the past several quarters, any disruptions to that growth rate, whether it be from Google algorithm changes or other, identification issues or what have you. And so from a Pinterest perspective, engagement continues to be very good. And as importantly, once you get this engagement going, and by the way, they're aging down in their user base, which means that, whereas many social platforms are actually aging up as we get older, Pinterest is aging down with Gen Z, I think at around 40+% of overall traffic. So as age goes down, engagement goes up, we think monetization follows here. And they've launched a lot of very good products over the past couple years, quarters that we think can drive greater monetization, attract more advertisers. One of them being just from a measurement perspective, which is called CAPI. The most recent one is called Performance Plus, which is sort of their version of AI, very specific lower funnel advertising product here, or bottom of funnel advertising product. So there's a lot of things to be positive on Pins, but it really starts from that user base, which has been consistently growing, which we've been enthused about.
Okay, let's also talk about another one you're watching, which is Reddit, and
Sure.
Went public a little bit later than some of the other companies that we talk about. Still arguably in the earlier stage, even though they've been around for a long time, arguably in the earlier stages of ramping up revenue. I know it's been a volatile name on the public markets, but looking out over the next couple of years, it does appear like there's a steady upward move for top-line performance. Walk us through Reddit.
Yeah, for sure. We like Reddit quite a bit. We like Pinterest too. But from a Reddit perspective, the debate going into this earnings season is all about understanding the growth in their daily active unique users, or DAUs. And that growth in DAUs has been, if you look at third-party data, disrupted some part. It's still growing, but disrupted to a certain extent with maybe some Google algorithm changes and others. But from our perspective, the engagement side's growing quite nicely. So in other words, those users who are logged in or even logged out, but logged in, they get to the site either directly or through other areas. Engagement's still growing very nicely, and they're doing more things on the site. The data corpus that Reddit has is nothing short of unbelievable when you think about the size and scale. At the time of IPO, they talked about adding a Wikipedia's worth of content, I believe, every 14 days, and they've only grown their user base since. So you can imagine, the speed there. And then when you have that engagement side, while they've been around for some time, the advertising tools are just now coming up to speed from call it bottom of funnel, leveraging their user base, and that's what gets us pretty excited about Reddit. Two things to look for. One is adoption of something called Reddit Answers that we think could change how users search and use Reddit. We're pretty excited about what Reddit Answers is doing. And then from a monetization perspective, they're launching new shopping tools. They're launching other new monetization tools that we think can drive continued revenue growth on the advertising front. And maybe the third one as a bonus here, it's just, their data licensing side. Still early days where they have partnerships with OpenAI and Google, and the value of this user-generated content is only growing every single day. And that's something to keep an eye out for over the next several years going forward.
Okay, moving along, Meta. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're poaching a lot of AI talent right now, and always moving fast. But when you look at the Meta business going forward, what do you see?
I mean, look, we just see consistent earnings growth. I think this is a quarter where you're going to see, call it mid to high teens revenue growth in line, or at least a little bit better than expectations. And frankly, when we take a step back and we look at all of their different applications, whether that be WhatsApp or Messenger, or more importantly, Instagram and Facebook, or Big Blue, as we call it, we're seeing engagement rise. And when we started this conversation, it was all about engagement. It was all about usage, right? And one of the wild things about Instagram is we still see that engagement growing, I think in the low double digits per third-party tracking. And when you think about what we're doing on Meta, and I say we because most everybody goes on Meta properties, at least from a daily perspective, what we're doing is we're watching more reels, we're engaging more with our friends and family, sending reels, etc. And that engagement is driving monetization. And frankly, from everyone that we talk with and the research that we do, I think Meta's monetization is among the tops out there. So as engagement grows, they're launching newer products that are driving higher conversion rates. And when you think about certain verticals that are online, i.e. whether it be e-commerce or travel or electronics or what have you, Meta is increasingly growing their share here because the return on ad spend is there. So we're pretty enthused about what they're doing over at Meta, and that engagement, it all starts with engagement that continues to rise here.
Okay, really helpful, Ron. And before I let you go, you've provided a bonus pick of sorts today, and it is Alphabet, the parent company of Google, which is obviously going through a big moment, really. I think this is probably one of the most important stories to watch over the next few years. A leader in AI, but of course the dominant player in search. And where we end up, I'm not sure we can know officially right now, but what do you see with this business?
We see just consistent revenue growth in their search business, even though, to your point, or to the point out there around search being more competitive today than it ever has been with the rise of agents and ChatGPT and everything else. But look, I think Google is, with Gemini, seeing their moment, at least driving more users from a user perspective on their AI tools. We'll see about integration with their newer AI tools like AI Overview and AI Mode. But the bottom line here is we just think you're going to see consistent search growth regardless over the next several years. I think YouTube continues to do increasingly well, and our checks on Google Cloud, which is their version of their cloud platform, continue to do very well as well, with Gemini being a core driver there. All that to say, their number one, highest margin revenue is search, and that's coming through.